Is this movie the savior of the DCEU? Nope. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this. My name is Brandon Aries, and welcome to The Sanctuary. Last week, I saw The Flash, and I kind of liked it, but I do have my big-time gripes. Obviously, a couple days have passed, and it's not doing well. It is considered a flop. As you guys know the drill, I'm going to share my thoughts and everything that I liked and didn't like. I'm starting off with a dislike, and that was the, quote, bad CGI. Now, there were times where it was good, where you see the budget actually come together, and there were times where it just looked awful. And those times of bad CGI, I felt like really threw me off in terms of trying to dive deeper into the story because I was focused on how bad this entire Speed Force room looked. The trailers for this movie and the marketing in general basically showed the entire film. Granted, they saved some things for the movie going experience, but not much. I'm merely going to mention it, and that's it. I do feel a bit of a weird aftertaste watching this with all the allegations against Ezra Miller, but we're staying away from the drama. We're not talking about it. We're talking about the movie. We're trying to just be objective. And the reason I say that is because I actually like Ezra Miller as Barry Allen or The Flash. I thought they did an amazing job being Barry Allen, and especially the two different Barrys. That is hard to do in itself, and the duality of the two characters kind of shape each other into new versions of themselves. I feel like the child version of Barry helped our Barry sort of mature and become better and a little more serious when it comes to the whole multiverse and Flashpoint events. Whereas the main Barry gave the clone Barry some perspective of loss, grief, and wanting to fix things. But the problem with that is that not every problem has a solution, which brings me to the story of Barry and his mom. Obviously, he wants his mom back, so he tries to go back and fix things so he can have his mom and his dad back. He lost both his parents the same night his mother was killed, which also delves into the point that sometimes these sort of events are inevitable and they shape us to who we are. I thought Michael Keaton was going to be a smaller role in this film, and he actually was a lot bigger than I thought. And I thought this was a great way to come back as the Caped Crusader. And honestly, I don't think I would have really minded now if he did end up being the new, quote, Batman. Because there were those rumors that the whole Flashpoint was going to make him the new permanent Batman of the DCEU, and then everything like Batfleck was going to be gone and blah, blah, blah. So someone I wish who had more time on screen was Supergirl. To me, she felt like a mix of Superman and Zod. She had those traits of hope, valor, and justice like Superman and the kind, compassionate heart. But at the same time, she has the willingness to lash out or take out her anger if needed. The whole explaining of the multiverse was a lot more simpler than I thought it would be.
Maybe some spaghetti.
Okay. So with the whole multiverse / Flashpoint reset of the DCEU that turns into the DCU, which now is completely new and different and has taken away so many people, and new characters come in as old characters, and it's just one big giant pile of what? Down to the nitty gritty. This film makes no sense. There's no consequences, there's no stakes, and there's no future. This film almost feels like it's in limbo. It feels like it's all going to nothing. A big reason this movie was made was because they had already spent money on it, and they had to somewhat explain why the DCEU was going under extreme changes. Plus, this film costed like $240 million to make. Of course you're going to release it. I mean, the same thing is going to happen with Aquaman 2. I don't want to even get started on that. Generally, when I watch films for this channel, I'll watch it like in theaters or something, and then I'll watch it a second time, just to make sure I didn't miss any vital points that I may have wanted to bring to the table. But this film makes me not want to see it again. As much as I kind of liked it, I didn't even talk about the cameos. Hold on, back it up. Let's talk about the cameos. The cameos were fun. They were cool. But it almost feels like they were anchoring based on the cameos. And the director said how there were other cameos that would have made this movie better. That's not what this movie's about. This movie's not just about cameos. There's a whole story that you can unpack with this. And you're worried about the cameos? Now, granted, some of them were cool, awesome. Couldn't believe that they were in there. And others kind of feel a little bit out of bad taste. And I'm not going to talk about the box office or anything because honestly, for this film, there's no Black Adam. There's no The Rock.
The hierarchy of power of the DC universe is about to change.
The DCEU is done after this. Apparently, Blue Beetle is the first character. And then the first DCU movie is Superman. Where does that make sense? Mr. Gunn, you went on record and said that The Flash is a fantastic movie. I gotta say, I disagree. It's above average, but it's got its problems. Like the stakes, the consequences, the cameos that are just trying to do their best to hold the whole story together. A good portion of this movie screams fan service. And I mean, there's not anything wrong with fan service, but use it wisely. I feel part of why they put all these cameos and fan service in is because they know it's the end and they have to start fresh. Are they going to keep using Ezra Miller? I doubt it. Real quick, an element of the movie I didn't think I would like as much as I did, but it's probably my favorite part of the film, and that's Ben Affleck as Batman. There's this one scene where he has a talk with Barry, and what he says really resonated with me. Now, I'm probably in the minority when I say that I actually liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he did a very different, but also more realistic type vibe for Batman. A more grizzled veteran approach to the character. And in The Flash, you see him kind of take more of that Bruce Wayne persona. Really reminded me of the suave swagger of the Kevin Conroy version in the animated series. I don't know, man. The more I think about it, the more I tend to distance myself from this film. It doesn't have any memory value to me. Like Guardians 3, Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, hell, even the Snyder Cut. I mean, the scene where Barry is going back in time is still one of my favorite scenes in a comic book film. But I think they were looking to go back in time and fix the DCEU and then reset it and then see if we wanted them to fix it again. Let me tell you something. Didn't work. I feel like I just vented to my therapist, but those are my thoughts on The Flash. If I had to rate it, I'd probably go like 6.5, but those are my thoughts. What did you think about The Flash? Did you see it? Are you going to see it? Are you going to wait till maybe it's on stream? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, please be sure to drop a like. It is always so much appreciated here in the sanctuary. And if you're new, subscribe and hit that notification bell for every week this lover boy pops up on your feed. In case I don't see you, I forgot the kids. I'm sorry, honey. But in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace.